So if you remember last time, let me just make sure. We talked about creating a frequency distribution. We were going through a little bit about organizing data. And then from the frequency distribution, we created a couple graphs, a histogram, which is a bar graph, a frequency polygon, which is kind of a line graph. And then we also did a stem and leaf plot. So those were kind of the pictures. So the last couple problems are just kind of going in reverse. You're going to be given a couple graphs and we are going to read some information from it. So I don't think this is too terrible. You probably could have figured it out on your own through the homework, but I just want to make sure that I'm being a good professor today and going through this. So example 9. We've got this histogram here that's been done for us. We can see the class marks or the class midpoints. We can see the frequencies. So what I would like you to do is we're just going to do these problems one at a time just to make sure. This is just an exercise of reading the graph. That's it. So it's our little follow-up. So do for me part A. How many students were surveyed? I'm going to give you about 30 or 45 seconds to see if you can determine the answer to that. All right, how many students do you propose or have been surveyed? 31. Where'd you get 31 from? Perfect, well said. We just add up all the frequencies. So just in case you didn't quite get that, okay, so if you did, fantastic. So we see this first bar, I'm just gonna write the number, it has 2. This second bar represents 4. This third bar represents 6. The middle bar here represents 8. This next one represents 7, and then 3. We see no bar there, so that's a 0, and then finally a 1. And when you add up all of those frequencies, 31. Great job. Excellent. Anybody got a question about that? All right, the second part we are not going to do. Okay, it's not, I think you need to make some assumptions. I don't like that problem. Okay, the C problem says, so again, just going to give you about 20 seconds. How many students have an annual car insurance premium in the class with a mark of 752? So give you just a few seconds to write down your answer. So again, how you doing? All you're being asked to do is to read the graph. So here's, they're directing your attention to the 752 bar right there. And so how many students is that? 6. Okay. Anybody get something different? Is anyone having any issue at all reading the graph? Okay, last one on this. What is the class mark of the modal class? So this introduces a new word, which when we get to our next section, we're going to talk about a little more. All you need to know is that modal means most. Okay, so what that's asking with a fancy word is what's the class mark of the bar with the most frequency? What'd you say? Perfect. This right here, 8, that's the tallest bar, that's the biggest frequency, and so it's $803 is the class mark of that bar. Excellent. I'm going to flip the page unless somebody's got a question or a comment or a concern, something that I'm just not doing an adequate job of addressing. Please let me know. It won't hurt my feelings. I want to do the best I can for you. Okay, example 10, same sort of thing. This time it's just a frequency polygon, just going through the different things that we talked about last time. So go ahead and answer all 3 questions this time, please. That's fine. Okay, so again, we're just reading the graph. How many families visited the San Diego Zoo 4 times? Okay, again, so if you don't know where to look, here's the number of visits on the x-axis. Here's 4 times, and I look up, and you're exactly right. Eight families did. How many families visited the San Diego Zoo at least 6 times? What does at least 6 mean? Yeah, 6 or more. So I'm going to look at the observations for 6 or more. So 6 happened 11 times. 7 happened, what is that, 9? 8 happened 3, 9 happened 0, and 10 happened once. And so that means that is 24 families visited at least 6 times. And then last but not least, how many were surveyed? So I need to go through and do what with all of my observations? Add them all up. Yeah, exactly. So I've already got these 24, and then here 5 times, that's 6. So that gives me a total of 30. Then we already saw 4 times, that was 8. So that's 38. 3 times was 8. So that's 46. And then 2 times was 2. So that's 48. And finally, 1 time was 4. And that is 52. So total of 52 families were surveyed. Yes.
First question, will it do just the 4 times? Just 4 times, or should we include the ones that are more?
No, this one just says exactly 4. So it says how many families visited 4 times only. This one has the word at least, and that's why we did 6 or more on that one, is because of those words right there. So the first one is only the 4 times. The next one was 6 or more, and then the last one was everything. Okay, great question. It's good to be certain on those details. Any other questions before we hit the last problem from this section? All right, the last problem, we don't go into in this class creating a pie chart, although that would be pretty fun. All we do in here is reading the pie chart, and really it's just a review of using percents. So I'm going to do the first one, and then I'm going to give you a little time, and you're going to go through the rest of them. So it says we've surveyed 800 people who attended a circus, and they were asked to indicate their favorite performance. We're going to use the circle graph representing the data to determine the number of people in each category. So typically a circle graph or a pie graph is listed with percents, and each of the pie pieces is proportional to that percent. Again, because graphs are visual, you're supposed to be able to look at that and see the relationship between all these. So I want to now know, I want to convert this from percents into my raw data. How many responses were there? So for tigers. So just talk me through, how am I going to figure out how many people preferred the tigers? Okay, so I'm gonna multiply the percent by the total number of people. That's exactly great. So this first one for the tigers, that's 38%. What number do I use? Okay, what number do I use when I multiply that times the total number of people? Yeah, great. I'm glad. It sounds like y'all remember that. Makes me happy. So you don't multiply by 38, you multiply by 0.38 because percents are out of 100. And then you're going to multiply that by 800 because there's 800 total people. Then you're going to throw that down in your calculator, and I forgot my calculator. It's somewhere, so I'll just use Apple here. 800 times 0.38, and that turns out to be 304. Okay, so out of the 800 people, 304 liked the tigers best. And so I'm going to give you like 90 seconds, just real quick, go through the other ones and just practice with your percents. All right, I'm just gonna start writing this down. You can help me with the arithmetic. If you're confused about anything, please let me know. This is the end of this section, so we're done with section 12.2. So elephants, I see the percent of elephants is 26, so I'll use 0.26 times the 800, and what did you get when you threw that down into the calculator? 208, okay, excellent. Acrobats, okay, 17% times the 800 is what? Oh, you guys are doing great. Appreciate your help. And then 0.14 times the 800 ends up being 112. And other, so people like the cotton candy and stuff like that. And that is going to be how many? 40. And if I was to, I'm not going to, but if I was to add all these numbers up, I anticipate that they should all add up to what? 800, yeah, because the pie chart represents the whole. Excellent. Great job, everybody.